This past weekend, the SRX, aka the Superstar Racing Experience, made its debut, and I gotta say that a lot of my worries were definitely unfounded. And I give them credit, they put on a great show. As a NASCAR fan, though, I was thinking, what can the sport learn from the SRX? I think there's plenty of things that NASCAR can learn from a lot of different racing series, and I think there's a lot of things that they do that NASCAR could implement that would both be a good mix of the past, but also be a great push into the future. So I was, again, thinking, what has the SRX done that NASCAR could learn from or adapt from? Well, that's what I'm going to go over today. The first one is a big one, and this is definitely because of the people who run it, Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham. It's be unapologetically yourself. Listen, you can have any worries or criticisms you want about the SRX, but there's one thing you definitely cannot say that they don't have, and it's the swagger to know that they have the confidence in themselves to know their identity. Tony Stewart and Ray Evernham this whole time have really pushed what this is. It's a back-to-basics racing series, a series that wants to highlight the grassroots racing of America. And you know what? They've done it so far, and they know what they are. Now, I'm not saying that NASCAR has to do this. They don't have to revert back to what they were in the 50s and 60s. But what I'm saying is that NASCAR needs to find their identity, stick with it, and when they have pushback against it, just say, screw it. This is us. Deal with it. A lot of the times through the years, NASCAR has changed itself for either what a sponsor would want, for what they think fans want, for what they think drivers want, and have really kind of molded themselves into the wants and needs of others. For instance, when Nextel came in, they asked for the chase for the Nextel Cup. They asked for the championship to change, and NASCAR bent the knee to them. When the fans complained a lot about the packages and wanting closer racing, NASCAR, maybe to their detriment, but a lot of times listening to the fans, probably to the positive, they changed it, and the fans don't like it. NASCAR didn't stick with what they were. They instead tried to chase after what fans thought they needed to be. Now, it's not to say that NASCAR doesn't need to just completely not listen to criticism. What I'm saying is if NASCAR is going to be an entertainment-based series who's going to be having this kind of championship when you're in, stick with it. Have confidence in yourself. Because what it seemed like NASCAR's been trying to do for the past decade and a half is be stick and ball sports. Be everything but yourself. And NASCAR just needs to put their foot down, whether it's to the networks, to the sponsors, to the fans, and just say, this is who we are. They've kind of already done it in a lot of ways, but I think that they just need to go all out with it. Say, we're going to stick with this for a while and go with it. Also, the SRX has proved with the great viewership they had that short track routes can sell. Now, I'm not saying that we need to just ditch every track and go to half-mile bull rings the entire year. I know a lot of fans would want that, but I think there needs to be some variety. But short track routes can sell. The viewership this past week was the equivalent of a really good Xfinity race. That's impressive. The SRX on its first go-round could arguably say they're now the second most watched series in America if they can keep this up. That, again, is impressive. Now, with the short track routes, something that I really wanted to say about that is the way that they did the races. They had heats that kind of served as stages, but they didn't award points, they didn't award extra money, but they just sort of set the grid the way that everything was going to be. They set the tone for the night. NASCAR did something similar with this, with how they ran the stages at the Bristol Dirt Race this past year. And I think that this can be implemented a bit more when it comes to short tracks that aren't up to the current standard of NASCAR Cup Series racing. If you want to go somewhere like the Nashville Fairgrounds, you don't have to renovate their entire pit road to make it like Bristol or Martinsville. You can have it be the old school short track way where you take a bit of time between heats to work on your cars, to change tires, to do whatever. It would also help minimize the cost for teams as they wouldn't have to bring as many people. It's just an idea, and it's something that's very foreign and will have a lot of pushback from NASCAR fans just because NASCAR has gotten so far away from doing this kind of stuff. But I think that it really would help benefit the series and make it a lot easier for fans watching at home and fans watching in person to kind of schedule around the race. It's worth a shot, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Also, the SRX did something really great. They let their personalities shine. Listen, Tony Stewart's in this. That right there is going to show you there's going to be some personality. But there's been plenty of other drivers who really showed a really fun aspect to themselves. Greg Biffle, for instance, with the 69 car. Tony Stewart being, well, Tony Stewart. You know, Willie T. Ribbs being in there, and he was one of the most entertaining people outside of the car through the entire build-up to this series starting racing. So you know what? Let the drivers' personalities shine. Give them more opportunities to be themselves. I'm not talking about sponsor-plugged little shorts in the race. I'm talking about just let them be themselves on pit road. Be lenient when it comes to how they can act and talk and whatever. I think you'd see a lot of fans really engage with stuff like that. Also, what the SRX has done when it comes to having a local hero driver. Now, I'm saying that NASCAR shouldn't do this. What I am saying is that when it comes to making it so that somebody who's more of an underdog can come in, they can compete more. You saw this in the 2000s and the 90s a lot, where there'd just be a random race where someone who really was a 25th place team all year would all of a sudden start running up front and would win a race or two. Ricky Craven, for instance, in 2003 at Darlington, yeah, he had a great start to the year, but if you look at how Ricky Craven ran for the majority of his career, it would have been a surprise to most fans today when they go back to watch to see Craven go out and beat guys like Kurt Busch. The same thing has been seen before with experimental teams that really shouldn't be doing too well. When Bill Elliott, for instance, ran really well at Texas in 2004. Stuff like that. Now, I'm not saying, again, that it needs to be like the good old days and that somebody running 40th every week can just come up and win. What I am saying is that one of those guys who runs 20th in points, a Bubba Wallace, a Daniel Suarez, can go up and compete for wins more often. I think it would be something that would give a lot more unpredictability to NASCAR than it has today. And then, quite frankly, just have more fun with it. Now, I'm not saying you have to be how Fox Sports was this year and make it a comedy show every week. I think that's the wrong way to go about it. But I do think that the way that Alan Bestwick and Danica Patrick in the booth were just sort of having fun with it and taking it for what it was is a great way to get fans to just be more relaxed, have fun, but also take it serious with the competition. The racing itself was good at times, but I don't think it was remarkable by any spread of the imagination. But you know what? It was still something that I had fun watching because the people broadcasting it had fun and they took it serious. And I think if NASCAR can hit that balance, they would be really great. You don't have to be at the standard of F1, but I do ask that you at least try and be at the standard that the SRX was. You have professionalism, fun, but also seriousness with it. There's a lot of good there. And with that, I'm going to leave this to you. What do you think NASCAR could do that the SRX has done? I think there's plenty of stuff to learn from. And trust me, I don't think the SRX was perfect by any means, but it was a great start to what could be a really great series. So, let me know down in the comments below. While you're at it, leave a like on this video, share this video, and subscribe to my channel for more great NASCAR content like this. And until next time, have a good one.